Podcast. This is your boy Guru from Cold Coffee TV. Run with us or run from us. Yeah, you know the motto. And I'm here with your girl, Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess. You know, we here to talk about Thursday night football. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins squared off last night. And as I stated last night, there was no surprises there. The Miami Dolphins were dominated by the Cincinnati Bengals defense. The savant head coach Marvin Lewis had his defense on point. Let me break this down for y'all a little bit, like I used to say about my man Kevin Garnett. Just too much. AJ Green. Shout out to Kevin Garnett, by the way. So, Joan, how you feeling about how this game went last night?
Well, first of all, I'm mad that I stayed up last night. I need coffee on line 1. I'm very upset off the fact that I agreed with you and I felt like Cincinnati would win. I didn't want them to win, of course, because this is the division rival. I'm a little disappointed because the first quarter started off 10-7, and I'm thinking, okay, we might get us a little barn burner here. Wrong. Lies. Miami scored on the second play of their opening offensive drive, and that was the end of it. That was a wrap. They goose-egged for the rest of the game. And then the fact that you mentioned Kevin Garnett, and you know Kevin Garnett is my boy, and of course he announced his retirement last week. I mean, you are just really just throwing salt in the wound. I'm tired. I needed Miami to have won last night. I knew that they wouldn't, but I'm just saying I needed them to win. And then you want to bring up Kevin Garnett? This is not the business. Yeah, I'm going to need that cup of coffee over here ASAP pronto. We won't have an intern. No, we ain't made it to the big time like that. We ain't got no intern then. But, yeah, let me get coffee on line 1.
It was one crazy game. Ryan Tannehill's an overrated quarterback. Not a very good quarterback at all, as a matter of fact. His only touchdown pass came on a coverage where the wide receiver ran the wrong route, so he ended up being open because the defense was covering the right route, and he ran the wrong route. So that was definitely a game where the Miami Dolphins looked like the junior varsity team, and the Cincinnati Bengals showed up like they were supposed to show up all season.
And as you alluded to with you talking about AJ Green and Ryan Tannehill, let's just do a comparison. Now, keep in mind, you guys, we're talking about a quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, and a wide receiver. Alright, so Ryan Tannehill completed 15 of his 25 passes. AJ Green caught 10. Alright? Ryan Tannehill threw for a total of 189 yards. AJ Green caught 173. Again, we're comparing quarterback to receiver here. This is not like a receiver versus receiver or quarterback versus quarterback. No. This is quarterback versus receiver. So, Ryan Tannehill only completed 5 more passes than AJ Green caught. And he only threw for 16 more yards than AJ Green caught. Let that marinate there for a moment.
Absolutely.
Why are you here, Ryan Tannehill? I mean, and here's the thing. It bothers me because I'm actually rooting for Ryan Tannehill. I thought that the dose of having Adam Gase, because I've seen what Adam Gase has done to Jay Cutler, the lowly Jay Cutler, when he was the offensive coordinator with the Bears last year. And I just really thought, like, okay, this is probably what Ryan Tannehill needs. I mean, he's never really had a perennial tight end. He's never really had a sure enough tandem of wide receivers. He's never had like an AJ Green or something, anything like that. So he's kind of made do the best that he could with what he had. So I honestly was kind of looking like, oh, this is kind of a charity. You know, I was kind of feeling sorry for Ryan Tannehill all these years for him not being able to really have adequate personnel. But I thought, okay, the fact that Adam Gase is here, that's going to infuse something in Ryan Tannehill. He still doesn't have all of the personnel. He still doesn't have an AJ Green. And he still doesn't have like a Gronkowski. So I will discount him that. But I'm still not seeing anything inspiring, not on a consistent basis from Ryan Tannehill to make me believe, like, let's get this guy some more receivers. Or let's get this guy that tight end. I honestly am starting to think, and again, I've been rooting for Ryan Tannehill all this time. I'm really starting to think that the problem is Ryan Tannehill, it doesn't matter who the offensive coordinator, the receivers will be.
Absolutely, because I was going to make the point to what you were going to say, that Teddy Bridgewater, Donovan McNabb, great quarterbacks don't necessarily always need receivers, you know,
right.
So, you know, they still go out there and they play very well. Now, my question to you, Joan, is which one is it? Is Adam Gase overrated, or is Ryan Tannehill a flat-out scrub?
Gosh, those are harsh words for both of them. I'm not going to say Adam Gase is overrated because, like I said, I've seen Adam Gase make miracles happen with Jay Cutler. It's something about like his work ethic and his preparation is not really stellar. And so I've seen Adam Gase bring out good qualities in a very lazy Jay Cutler. So I don't want to necessarily say that Adam Gase is overrated. Now, I also don't want to call Ryan Tannehill a scrub, because what Jay Cutler had that Ryan Tannehill didn't is Brandon Marshall. And
not last season, though.
Not last season, but still, Adam Gase was in Chicago for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true.
So he did have some. He did have at least one key wide receiver, you know. Now, also, Jay Cutler did have Brandon Marshall while he was in Denver. So I don't even know if that was so much completely Adam Gase per se. It could have also been familiarity with, all right, I've had Brandon Marshall before. Welcome back. Let's kind of pick up where we left off. That's still questionable. But I still can't sit here and say just wholeheartedly that Adam Gase is overrated. I really wish and think that if Ryan Tannehill, and again, I'm kind of riding with this guy, but it is the picture is starting to become clear that maybe he is the common denominator. I really would like to see Adam Gase, Ryan Tannehill, and a really, really strong wide receiver or tight end. So that way we could kind of evaluate it on a better premises. So it's kind of like, okay, if this guy really has a show enough key wide receiver and he still ain't doing it, then it's like, okay, that's it. It's you. It's not you, it's me. Like, Adam Gase can honestly say, like, it's not me, it's you in that particular case. So it's still kind of to be determined. The jury's still out on that. But as the season goes on, we'll kind of see will the development come. They have had a quarter of it, unlike all the other teams. They are actually 1/4 of the way through their season because they have had 4 games, no bye week, and the fact that they did play last night. So a quarter of the way through the season, they definitely have to do better. Definitely have to do better. 1-3 record is not the start that Adam Gase had in mind, nor did I for them.
It doesn't get any easier either for them.
Oh, it definitely does. I mean, I definitely saw flashes of potential from Ryan Tannehill. Because the thing is, other than tonight, they were 1-2. I mean, we saw what they did up in Seattle. They didn't put up a whole lot of offense, but it came down to the last play. They almost pulled off a huge upset in week 1. And then we also seen what they did in New England. Of course, New England did not have Tom Brady, so that's still debatable as well. But Ryan Tannehill put together a complete second half there. They ran out of time, and then, of course, on that 4th down, it was a little bit of a bad pass. I'm sure he liked to have that back. Plus, Garoppolo ended up getting hurt, so we don't know if that was the factor either. Then, of course, last week they played a team that hadn't had a win yet either in Cleveland. And then tonight we saw what Cincinnati, but see, also Cincinnati was coming off of getting beat against the Super Bowl champ, so I think they were probably playing to kind of avenge some stuff too. Too many questions still around it. We'll definitely continue to keep our eye on it, but again, 1/4 of the way through the season, Miami, you've got to tighten up. You've got to make some necessary adjustments.
I'm gonna go out on a limb right now. Adam Gase is on the hot seat.
Already? He just got there.
They expected Miami Dolphins to be a playoff contender this season. They didn't expect for them to start off 1-3. The ownership, I mean, they're a very proud ownership. They've been firing coaches left and right here the last few years. I think that they're looking at everything and they're going to panic after, especially if he loses another 1 or 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm. But see, as you alluded to, Miami's been firing coaches left and right. That's not the move. I mean, and especially no shade, but you're an Oakland fan. So you know how sometimes the instability in coaches, let's keep it real, you guys have had a lot of talent, but you haven't had stability, and shaking up stuff and changing stuff around so much could also be the demise of a franchise as well. So maybe Miami might need to pump their brakes a little bit.
What exactly does Adam Gase specialize in? Tonight, I couldn't tell, because if he's an offensive guru, then I mean this offense looked very, very bad tonight.
I'll give you that, but also let me know what star players does Miami have. I mean, you put Adam Gase in this predicament, but it's almost like you were expecting him to do so much with so little as well.
I guess my point is that, you know what I'm saying, what do you mean what stars does he have? Every team gets to draft and pick their own players straight from the college ranks. So it's up to you to find the gems. It's up to you to find the good talent and make it work for what you're trying to do. So Adam Gase was there for an offseason. He had an opportunity to go through a draft and through free agency. They were able to pick up Arian Foster. They were able to draft several players, such as the running back Ayaje or something like that. These are his players. So, so I'm not quite sure that he gets a pass, similar to what you're trying to say.
No, but my point in that is, and you're right about that, but come on, they got Arian Foster barely with tread on his tire as well. I mean, this is an injury-prone Arian Foster. Let's just keep that real. It's not like Adam Gase kind of brought in like Nama Kim Sue, even though he's on defense. But I'm saying it wasn't like an overhaul of like, okay, Adam Gase is here. He cleaned house,
Right.
and brought in some of his own personnel. He didn't bring anybody with him from Chicago, or any of that either. I'll give you an example of like, if you look at Cincinnati, since that's who they played, former defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer, and now of course he's the coach in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
But when like look at Terrence Newman, for example.
Right.
Terrence Newman, of course, we know his history in Dallas, but of course he played for Cincinnati as well. But when Mike Zimmer left to go to Minnesota, Terrence Newman followed Mike Zimmer, and he's an older cornerback.
Right.
But we're starting to see like good Terrence Newman again, and he's back with Mike Zimmer, and Mike Zimmer has kind of given him some resurgence. Who came with Adam Gase from Chicago?
No one. But I mean, Chicago wasn't even a playoff team last year, so what exactly was he going to be bringing with them anyway?
And neither was Miami.
They were a better offense last season under the special teams coordinator who was moved up to the head coach. That offense turned during the second half of the season. Ryan Tannehill was able to start warming up. That's why I'm questioning Adam Gase at this point, because the offense actually last season started catching some steam. Now, I will say Richard Matthews, the wide receiver, did go to the Tennessee Titans, but that's just one wide receiver. They still have Devontae Parker, they still have Jarvis Landry, and they still have the tight end Cameron as well. They added Arian Foster. So what is the excuse?
Okay, but again, Adam Gase didn't really bring anybody with him. Like, he didn't even bring any of his coaching staff with him. If I'm not mistaken, usually when a person becomes a head coach, like they bring, okay, I'm bringing my defensive coordinator with me, or I'm bringing my offensive line coach with me, things of that nature. I'm like, when Bruce Arians went to the Cardinals, I mean, he took Russ Grimm with him, and Russ Grimm was, of course, the offensive lines coach. He also took some of the Steelers personnel with him as well. Like, they want to follow Bruce Arians. I don't think Adam Gase had that, and I think that's a missing element. You know, I'm not really giving him a cop-out and excuse, but what I will concur with you with is maybe Adam Gase just wasn't ready to be a head coach. Maybe he should have been like the offensive coordinator of the Dolphins, so that would be like his focus, and that's tunnel vision. But now he's got to be a head coach. That part might have been too much. And pun intended, maybe he's swimming in the deep end here. He don't have the dolphin capacity of being able to swim. He's kind of like he's a little fish in a big pond in this instance, where when he was offensive coordinator, he was a big fish in a small pond. So maybe he should have kept wading in that water for a little bit longer. Now, that I'll definitely agree with you. But again, I don't think that he has the complete personnel surrounding him, not even a complete quarterback, not even a tandem of wide receivers or anything like that, to really just exclusively write him off.
Alright, so picking up with the 4 o'clock game, Denver and Tampa. We got 2 teams headed in the exact opposite direction. Even though I kind of had a lot of belief in Tampa, I'm a little shocked at where they at this point. You know, they did lose a game last week that they probably should not have lost, 37-32 against the St. Louis Rams. Against the Los Angeles Rams.
Still hard
with
to say,
Case
right?
Keenum at quarterback. I still don't quite understand how they gave up 37. But, that's something for Dirk Carter to have to figure out. He's probably going to be on the hot seat not before long as well.
What?
But, and then rumors coming out of Tampa's camp this week are that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers want to throw less with Jameis Winston. I don't see how that's relevant. I mean, considering they threw 32 points up last week, the defense is entirely at fault. You allowed 37 to an offense that's vanilla. What are your thoughts on the Denver Broncos and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Joan?
First of all, I am floored that you said that Dirk could already be on the hot seat. I mean, Dirk on the hot seat already. I mean, again, he just got there. He got moved up internally. You aren't allowing these guys enough time. And Dirk is actually a big part of why Jameis Winston has been so successful both last year and this year. Now, going into this matchup, I think that they will be overwhelmed coming into this game against the reigning Super Bowl champions, who are undefeated at 3-0 at this moment. However, I think this will be a closer game. I still think that Denver will win because of the fact that even though Trevor Siemian is a rookie, what he did against Cincinnati last week, a very stingy secondary in Cincinnati who, they only lost Leon Hall in free agency. But he went out and he connected with Emmanuel Sanders, and he went out and he connected with Thomas. And this is stuff that they were actually demanding. They were having pep talks with him like, hey, get us more involved. And that's exactly what he did. These guys, for lack of a better word, they kind of turned into divas. Now, rightfully so. But, the rookie still could have not really stood up and stood tall and accepted that challenge, and he did. So he showed roles of a leader last week. So I think that's a plus for him. And I think that he will carry that into this week, because here's the thing about Tampa. Tampa secondary gives up touchdowns. And I'm not saying that Trevor will necessarily have a duplicate, have a carbon copy of what he did in Cincinnati last week. Here's another tough test for him because it's another game on the road. I think his matchup's a little bit more favorable this week, so he'll do less. And I think it'll go back to Denver's defense being the highlight of this, and they'll go back, and also Denver will run the ball a little bit more. Again, Trevor, the offense will be simplified again, because I don't expect them to have to do that much against Tampa. But again, because Tampa gives up so many touchdowns in the secondary. I do think that Denver will win. I'm going to give Denver like a touchdown win on this. When Tampa plays tough, Tampa still has injuries in their running game. So that's going to not really make them one-dimensional. But the fact that, as you alluded to, the talks of we want him to throw less and you're man down on the running, that's not the mix that you want to have come into this. So I think that there will be a little bit of a discombobulated offense from Tampa, and they will not get it done as a result.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and this is going to be my upset pick of the week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers knock off the Denver Broncos this week, and no one's going to understand how this is going to happen. But Dirk Cotter is in a position he's going to be walking it out, if he does not start pleasing that owner by winning some of these games. This game will be a game where, no one's expecting Tampa Bay to come out here and win this game. They have the talent on the defensive side of the ball. I don't quite understand why they're giving up so many points. With Hargreaves and then the corner that they brought in from Tennessee a couple years back. He was an elite corner in Tennessee. I don't quite understand what's going on with him right now. Gerald McCoy is still an elite guy up the middle. They have quite a bit of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Levante David is one of the best linebackers in football. So I'm still wondering, when are they going to turn this corner? But they may turn this corner this week. I expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, considering this is something that I thought about. A stat that you made, and you kind of brought up a good point last week or recently here when you said that West Coast teams traveling to the East Coast do not play well. Denver's going to come out there and they're going to be flat. They're going to come out there and they're going to struggle against Tampa. Tampa's going to win this game.
Here's the difference on that, though. I think Denver's they're not Pacific time. They're only 2 hours behind. So that's one thing. But also they're playing this game at 4:05. So it's not like they're playing it in their mindset at 10 o'clock in the morning. But this is also the Super Bowl champions. I don't know how much of a factor that will play on them. I like your bold prediction. But you just said Dirk's on the hot seat. But now you're saying that he's going to win this game. So I guess you're saying that this is going to help put out the fire. Is he still on the hot seat? Or I'm a little confused.
I do think he's on the hot seat at this point. I do think that he's underachieved for Tampa's talent on that roster. At the same time, that doesn't mean that I do not think that they can win a game. I think that Jameis Winston is an elite quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback. He's played very well.
In his second year?
Absolutely. He's thrown 2 or 3 touchdowns almost every game this season. I mean, that's how much better, do you need a quarterback to play before you can call him a good quarterback?
I mean, he only played one full year, and he's only going to his 4th game. I don't know about the word elite. I think that's very generous.
I think that you need to check his numbers. His numbers match His numbers match Cam Newton's last season in terms of rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns. I think it was like 2 or 3 less rushing touchdowns than Cam Newton.
But no,
that's elite.
But no, I meant because there's not enough time for you to just throw that. He's not even a veteran yet. So in this league, let's give him a little bit more time before we start wrapping up that word elite and putting a bow on it and giving it to him as a Christmas present. That's all I was saying.
What I'm going off of is how he's performed. Performance is the ultimate judge of talent. Right now I'm going off talent and performance. And when you look at talent and performance, right now Ryan Tannehill's a bad quarterback. When you look at talent and performance for Jameis Winston, he is a good quarterback. He played very well last season, even though he had a couple games where he threw some interceptions. He still put up numbers that rivaled the league's MVP, Cam Newton.
Okay, well, good's a better word for a person who's played a total of what we're looking at 19 regular season games. But let's go ahead and move on to the second game on the 4 o'clock docket. Well, 4:25 is when the kickoff will happen on this one. A divisional game. I almost pulled a U and said St. Louis Rams. That's still kind of hard to digest. But yeah, they're back to LA after 21 years. So the LA Rams, and they travel to the reigning NFC West champions, the Arizona Cardinals. So Guru, who's going to win this game and why?
I like Arizona Cardinals in this game, considering they just came off a game where they were blown out last week by the Buffalo Bills. But before that, they were playing some darn good football, and I think that they get back to being who they are. The Rams last week, came out and threw up 37 last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's not who they are. I think that they struggle this week and go back to being who they are.
The thing about the Rams is they always sneak up on their divisional opponents. I mean, they went to Seattle, they beat Seattle in Seattle, they beat Arizona in Arizona all in recent time. I trust their defense. I really do. Their defense is very solid. And also shout outs to my fellow WSSU Ram and fellow Tars. WSSU Winston-Salem State University, that is. And my fellow Tars, William Hayes. He's off to a good start this season. So, yeah, I think I like LA's defense on this. But the fact that, again, like you mentioned, how in the world did LA win that game with Case Keenum as their quarterback and putting up those types of points? I don't think we'll see a duplicate situation this week as LA goes to Arizona. I think Case will get a case of a reality check here, and because Arizona has stout defense, and the Honey Badger has said, I'm going back to my Honey Badger form. I guess we're going to see like LSU Honey Badger, and I don't know if it's because his coach Les Miles got fired, and like he feeling like, yo, okay, my boy Les gone, I got a rep for Les. I don't know what it is, but he said he's coming back to Honey Badger, and I believe it. And the fact that I think having Case Keenum on the menu is a great way to start if you're trying to go back to the Honey Badger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that Arizona will prevail in this game. I think they'll actually win by double digits out there in the Big Toaster. Loud dome, raucous crowd. Yeah, I'm going to concur with you and think that Arizona bounces back and wins as well. So, another 425 game. We have the New Orleans Saints, who's coming off a Monday night loss at home also. Wow, what a surprise there. And they're traveling to the San Diego Chargers. And the San Diego Chargers, they're coming to this game like banged up. And when I say banged up, I mean like they have key players out for the season. Now Manti Te'o, Keenan Allen, as we know, has been out since week 1. But San Diego still has the pride of NC State Wolfpack. That Phillip Rivers now, that one thing about that guy, win, lose, or draw, he's got some killer instinct in him. He's the type of guy you really don't want to run into down in a dark alley. Again, just not saying that you'll necessarily get beat up by him, but that guy's got some killer instinct in him. Do you think that will be enough to get it done for the San Diego Chargers as New Orleans comes to town?
I think that New Orleans, just for whatever reason, cannot stop anyone. Last week against the Falcons, they just gave up yards and touchdowns and points, all over the place. So I think that they will struggle against Phillip Rivers as well. I like San Diego in this game.
All right, and I'm going to agree with you on that. Of course, we all know the potency of New Orleans' offense, but I don't think that they have enough offense to make up for what their defense cannot do. If they had the 09 defense with this offense, they'd be okay. Snead has injuries as well. So they're going to rely heavily on Kobe Fleener. But I don't think that, a trade-off for Snead for Fleener, that's not a good trade-off. So I think Fleener will have a good game. And if I had him in my fantasy, I would definitely start him. But I don't think that that's a fair enough trade-off. Also, even though San Diego has lost some key pieces on their defense, I still like their defense better than New Orleans. At this point in time, I'll take an injured San Diego defense over a full-strength 2016 New Orleans defense. You can just air it out on them. If you want to have like a resume, like if you're looking for some game film to put together for like scouting purposes, or if you're like a backup quarterback and you're trying to be a starter, this is the team to play right here, the New Orleans Saints. So I think that Phillip Rivers will toast them. Toasty! I think that Phillip Rivers will definitely get it done, lead his team to victory. I think it'll be a close game. We might even have a shootout, but I think that San Diego will get the win at home as well. Alright, so the last game on the docket for 425, very interesting matchup here. The Dallas Cowboys, 2-1 Dallas Cowboys traveling to the 1-2 San Francisco 49ers at Levi Stadium, home game for the 49ers. And they've had a pretty interesting and wavy season, both on and off the field, as we're all very familiar with. Despite all the politics and everything involved with San Francisco off the field, will they get it done on the field this Sunday, Guru, as Dallas comes to town?
When I think about the Cowboys and the 49ers, it just takes me back to the 90s, man. Shout out to Dion. I think that, these two teams right now, as far as relevancy, is not quite, up there. I'm not quite sure about Dez Bryant's situation with his leg.
Out 3 weeks.
And there are a lot of things just not going well for the Cowboys, but I do think that they still find a way to pull this game out against San Francisco, even though Chip Kelly has that offense playing better than the talent is on the roster. The 49ers, they're a team that they need players, and it'll be a couple seasons before they get the personnel to really execute Chip Kelly's plan the way he wants to play. But I do think that they've played respectably, thus far. I think Dallas will pull this game out. Dak Prescott has not turned the ball over this season yet. He's getting better and better every game. I think that the Cowboys will ride off of that.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I think San Francisco will win the game. As you alluded to with Dak Prescott not turning the ball over yet, to be more precise on that, he's thrown 99 passes without an interception. So they've got a remix of it. I've thrown 99 passes in a pick game one. As we paraphrase Jay-Z there. So yeah, 99 passes that Dak Prescott has thrown and not had an interception. I think that changes this week. Now, I don't know who from San Francisco is going to be the one to catch this interception, because, of course, we know San Francisco has not and will not be the same on defense. They still haven't been able to recover, kind of how Pittsburgh hasn't been able to recover from the retirements of Ike Taylor, Troy Polamalu, no more Dick LeBeau. San Francisco has been reeling as well. No more Pat Willis, no more Justin Smith, no more Chris Borland either, with all those early retirements, and more importantly, no more Harbaugh either. So, San Francisco's kind of been suffocating as a result. They've lost their identity. And again, I don't know which member of their 11-player defense is going to catch an interception or get a sack, strip, fumble, whatever. But I do think that Dak gets his first turnover this week. And I'm going to be even bolder and say San Francisco gets some points off of that. But that's not solely the reason why I think that Dallas will lose this game. Of course, my boo Dez is out with that hairline fracture for about 3 weeks. And usually I would panic and stuff. But to keep it real with y'all, we haven't really been able to spend a lot of quality time together. I mean, we've been on the phone a lot and stuff, but that's not enough. So I'm not tripping. This will give us some time to catch up, Like I said, fine by me. In my Sophia voice from The Color Purple. So I'll take them 3 weeks. Yeah, I need some little QT with my QT. So yeah, I'm going to nurse them back to health. But going back to this Dallas and San Fran game. The reason why I think San Fran will win this game is because Chip Kelly coached in Philadelphia for 3 years. So he played Dallas 6 times minimum. He's familiar with Dallas's defense. Also, those years that Chip Kelly was in Philly, Jason Garrett was in Dallas. So he already is familiar. Pretty much the personnel is the same. Of course, the quarterback isn't, but this is still a rookie quarterback, so you can kind of throw the kitchen sink at him, kind of stack the box. I think Chip Kelly has the advantage on this one. We've seen flashes of San Francisco playing well, and I think Carlos Hyde will have a good game this week. Now, Dallas has played pretty well against the run, don't get me wrong, but again, Chip Kelly's very familiar. He knows what the defense is going to do, so I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Carlos Hyde. Also, the other thing I'm going to be paying attention to, I think that Ezekiel Crop Top Elliott, that is, might even also have a great game. Reason being, interestingly enough, I know he's been bottled 51 yards here and there. He's had some turnovers. I get that. But we got 2 Ohio State running backs going against each other. I see kind of like an internal battle, like an internal competition between them. So I'm sure that Zeke wants to show off. Of course, Carlos is a couple of years older than him. But still, these are Ohio State running backs, and why wouldn't you want to be like the better Buckeye in this? Just carry that. So I think that we see like a little internal shootout between these 2 running backs. And I think that Zeke will have a good game. I think Carlos Hyde will have a better game, again, because of the advantage of Chip Kelly being able to have better preparation for Dallas, being familiar with them, playing against them 6 times while he was in Philly. And it is a home game as well. So yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna go with San Francisco on this. And the Guru, of course, pick Dallas on the road. So that's it for the 4 and 4:25 games on the docket. Now moving on to the primetime games Sunday night. We have the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Interesting matchup as well. These are 2 teams that people were kind of saying these could be division winners, if not be the wild card teams. And so far this season, it's been kind of blah, for lack of a better word. Like, neither one of these teams have been dominant in any games they played. Kansas City, of course, came back week 1, but I think that was because when Keenan Allen went down, some of them, they kind of took some of the air out of them.
Right.
And, of course, we saw Pittsburgh. Well, actually, we didn't see Pittsburgh. I don't know what team that was that we saw last Sunday in Philly, but they're going to try to avenge as well. So, Guru, I turn to you. Kansas City, of course, is your division rival. I know that you would like for Pittsburgh to win this game. Do you think that they do so?
I think that Pittsburgh comes out, and they play hungry-inspired football with Le'Veon back. I think that, Kansas City, coming off a game where they just destroyed the opponent. They played against the Jets last week, and they just dismantled Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, 6 interceptions. They play elite defense. They play like they were the best defense in the league last week. But I do think that they're going to go out there. They have a history, of not being able to do great against Ben Roethlisberger. I do remember times where Tom Bahali and those guys, they weren't able to quite get to the guy. So I think that that trend continues. I think Pittsburgh goes out there and they win this game this week.
I'm actually going to agree that Pittsburgh wins, but I think the Tamba Ali and Derrick Johnson, I think these guys do get to Ben. Ben's older, even though he has had a good history with him. Ben's older. He's taken on more injuries since then as well. Now I think that Ben will outplay Alex Smith because, as we know, Alex Smith he does a lot of underneath stuff. That's why his completion rate is so high. He really doesn't throw a lot of deep balls to kind of set himself up to turn the ball over and have a lot of miscues, what Ben does. Again, I think Ben will outplay him. I think that Kansas City's defense will play better than Pittsburgh's defense. I think we'll have a close game here. Pittsburgh, of course, is angry. Kansas City, they're a smart team, specifically Andy Reid, very smart coach. Now, I think that with going back to Kansas City, like I said, I think their defense plays better, and I think Pittsburgh's offense will play better. So going back to that, I wouldn't touch Jamal Charles, Spencer Ware. If you're playing in fantasy, I would not touch either one of these guys. Pittsburgh, of course, their defense is the Achilles heel, but they're playing. This is an angry, embarrassed Pittsburgh team that they're playing coming back home, and that's going to be a factor in this game. I think, like you had said, Pittsburgh plays very inspired football this week. I think they might even win by 7 on this one. I concur with you. And I think Pittsburgh goes to 3-1 after this game against Kansas City. All right, so the Monday night game, the New York Giants, who lost to the Redskins at home last week, and they're playing, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please, they are playing an undefeated, Adrian Peterson-less, Teddy Bridgewater-less Minnesota Vikings team. Again, undefeated at 3-0. Also, Prince, the face of Minnesota, definitely, if we were putting a Mount Rushmore together, it'd be Kirby Puckett and Prince on there. You can probably put their faces up there twice. This is a team that lost like an icon of their state as well. But here they are, 3-0.
Right.
And they're returning to that new stadium as the Giants come to town. Will they go to 4-0 after this game, Guru?
I fully expect for them to go 4-0. This is the best defense in the league right now. That front, they are causing all kinds of havoc. They did it against Cam Newton. They did it against Aaron Rodgers. And I don't see it happening any differently against Eli Manning. They're going to get to him and they're going to hit him in the mouth. And they're going to put him on his back quite a bit in this game, especially at home. I expect for them to go out there. That crowd is loud. That horn is loud. I think that will disrupt the offense. One advantage that the Giants has that, maybe the other teams did not have is a good 3-receiver set. But I'm not quite sure Eli's going to have time to find them.
And as you mentioned, with this being the best defense, this is something that you've been saying since the early weeks of the season, where everybody else is kind of just now jumping on this bandwagon. You've been sipping that purple Kool-Aid from Minnesota when it comes to their defense all season. What is it that makes their defense so impressive? Is it because Mike Zimmer's the head coach? Is it because we know that the thing about Mike Zimmer and what I expected, Cincinnati, of course, that was where he was a defensive coordinator. They had a lot of free agents this offseason. I thought that Mike Zimmer was going to go after them. The safety, Georgia, Iloka, thank you. Adam Jones, Leon Hall. These guys were free agents. And I really thought that Mike Zimmer was going to be aggressive and go after them. But he didn't. So I thought Minnesota's got a solid defense. They could have been better. They didn't go after those guys, but they still ended up being better. What is the reason why their defense is so stellar, Guru?
Well, watching them against that Green Bay offense, it was plain to see that front dominates the line of scrimmage. I mean, they have Danielle Hunter. They have Everson Griffin. They have, they just have so many guys that, it seems like they can rotate guys in and out. And the depth, Anthony Barrs, is a guy like, he's an elite linebacker, and you don't even talk about him that much because they have Greenway, and they have so many guys. The corner, Trey Waynes, the young guy who was being picked on quite a bit by Aaron Rodgers early, ended up being the guy who made the play to shut him down, start intercepting the ball. And then last week against Cam, Trey Waynes intercepted the ball that was thrown to Kelvin Benjamin. So these guys, they just have too much talent. This is one of those situations where, they just came out of the woodworks. It kind of reminds me of Seattle a few years ago when no one knew who they were. They had a bunch of guys who were unknowns, and they just came out the blue with all that talent, and couldn't nobody do nothing about it. This is the same thing that I see in this Minnesota team when I watched them against Green Bay. They had bravado. They hit you in the mouth. That front, Daniil Hunter is one of the best defensive ends in the league. Everson Griffin is one of the best defensive ends in the league. And Daniil Hunter's a rookie. It's sad. It's really a sad situation because Adrian Peterson's probably been waiting for a team to be this good.
Right.
He's waiting all these years to play on a team that could probably win the Super Bowl. And the defense is probably on that level where they could win the Super Bowl right now.
Really? That's bold?
I'm going to go that far that the defense is that good. I didn't say the team was that good. I said the defense is that good that they can compete. But the offense, obviously, we don't really know how good the offense would have been with Teddy Bridgewater and with Adrian Peterson. We don't even know how good Adrian Peterson is at this point in his career. It's sad because Adrian Peterson was elite for so many years, and he's been waiting to play on a team this good. That's the point I'm making.
That's very true. All that is very true about Adrian Peterson. And about, like you said, with the defense, I still wouldn't necessarily punch their ticket to Houston for the Super Bowl yet. But we'll see how the offenses can start clicking and maybe match a little bit closer to the defense. And certainly, sure, absolutely. But they did make some strides, again, beating the reigning NFC champs, Carolina, in Carolina. And I was actually at that game, and it was a very emotional game for Carolina. I'm not using that as an excuse, but, Carolina had gone through a lot with all the protests and stuff in Charlotte and things like that. And they were very discombobulated. But Minnesota, they came in with a plan to attack Cam, and that's what they did, and they won. Also, Sam Bradford just make sure that, hey, with this defense, all I got to do is not make mistakes, and stuck to that plan as well. Now, the thing is, with them having such a great defense, and they do, the Giants have an expensive defense. And the thing is, I think that the Giants' defense challenges Sam Bradford this week. I think we see a Sam Bradford that we haven't seen yet. I think we're going to see a frustrated Sam Bradford this week going against that pass rush. Of course, it's not the pass rush of the Super Bowl winning pass rush that took care of Tom Brady in 2 Super Bowls. Those defenses, of course, featured Justin Tuck and O.C. Umenyiora, Matthias Kiwanuka, and, of course, the legendary future Hall of Famer Michael Strahan. Look, this is definitely not that Giants defense anymore. But again, I think that they're going to do enough to fluster Minnesota and Sam Bradford. I think they're going to take away a lot of the run that they want to do. That with Sam Bradford not really having to do a whole lot is because he has some balance.
Right.
I think Diggs is going to get bottled up in this particular game. And I think that Minnesota's offense is in trouble on this one. I also think, though, because Minnesota's defense is such a stellar defense, that the Giants' offense is also in trouble as well. So I think it's going to be a good defensive match here. I still expect to see some points because I think both defenses will kind of create some turnovers, set up the offenses, and make it like shorter fields. They'll be able to drive. Right. I almost want to pick the Giants on this one. And the reason being is the Giants have been quiet. Ben McAdoo kind of like, look, Odell, you're kind of self-destructing yourself. You kind of have like a come to Jesus meeting with him. And Odell's been kind of chilling. I think Odell just like, look, Eli, just throw me the ball, I'm going to make stuff happen. And I think that Eli will do that this week. And I think that we will see the return of Odell, like the Rookie of the Year Odell that only played 12 games and won Rookie of the Year Odell. I think we'll see a breakout performance from him. This is really a hard game for me to choose. Because, again, I think that because of what the Giants went through at home against the Redskins, I don't expect them to keep spiraling. I think that Ben McAdoo is popping a pin in that balloon and they get it together. Again, something's telling me to pick the Giants, but Minnesota is at home. I think maybe they win by like 2 or 3, but if the Giants win, I wouldn't be surprised nor disappointed. But I will give Minnesota a slight edge in this game. But again, I expect big stuff from Odell. I expect big things from both of the defenses. Yeah, this was a tough one. I'm not even all the way confident in this one. I do think the Giants will make some moves, but yeah, I'll concur with you and give Minnesota a slight edge on this one. Again, that is the Monday night game that will conclude week 4. All right, so that's going to do it for our second set of picks here. Again, if you want to find out what we said about the 1 o'clock games, make sure you go back and see our most previous podcast episode. Take a listen at that, and that will let you know what we did with the 1 o'clock games. And we did disagree on some. We did not pick the same team. So yeah, take a listen again. If you're making picks for like your over under point spreads, make sure you listen to our breakdowns, our comprehensive and knowledgeable breakdowns before you make your picks, and we'll lead you in the right direction. And also we expect a cut. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, give us a little percentage there. All right, so Guru, what you got going on this weekend? Any type of projects? Any type of networking you got going on? Tell the good people how they can get in contact with you if they need some services rendered.
Look us up at Cold Coffee TV on Twitter. Like us at Cold Coffee TV on Facebook. And look for us on YouTube at Cold Coffee TV or Cold Coffee TV News. Run with us or run from us.
No doubt. And this guy's modest, like I've told you from the first episode. But if you need anything from bar mitzvahs, I emphasize this all the time: weddings, photography, production. If you even need beats made, this is your one-stop shop destination here. Reaching out to the Guru, as he alluded to, with Cold Coffee TV. So handle your business, and he will handle yours. And as far as your girl, Latasha Miles, a.k.a. Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess, I can be located on Facebook at Latasha Joan Madden Miles. Again, on Facebook at Latasha Joan Madden Miles. On Twitter and IG, Twitter and Instagram at she_SPN. Again, at she_SPN. YouTube channel is SheSPN the Network. And I have a book out entitled When Football Season Turns You Into His Side Chick, the Ultimate Survival Guide for Relationships and Households During Football Season. I'm fresh off of Good Day Charlotte. Gosh, it was such an exciting experience. I finally tapped into the Charlotte market. Good people, moving on up. So yeah, I'm really grateful to God for that, and for the support. And thank you guys as well, and continue to support us in any of the projects that we're trying to do. We just love football, as you can see. So take a listen to us, like, share, comment, any feedback and constructive criticism. We welcome it and embrace it. And again, thanks so much for tuning in. So that's going to do it for this installment of the Jock and Jill podcast. This is Friday, September the 30th, 2016. Wow, it'll be October the next time we come back. So yeah, we're out for the weekend. We'll come back on Monday. Can you believe it's almost October?
Man, that time's flying.
Oh my gosh, 2017 is coming, and then, like, oh my gosh, we got one more month before elections too. We'll get into that later, but yeah, the month's almost over. You guys, thanks again for listening. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy week 4 of the NFL season. We'll catch you Monday, and we're